Okay, the next question comes from GameCat16.
What do you think about Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2? Do you think it's a good continuation or a game that just drags out the storyline?
Sven?
Just that I am not going to buy this game or rent it because I played the first and that was enough.
Yeah, in my case, okay, like I said in my original VTT, The Force Unleashed had a lot of good qualities to it, but it was led down by several story weaknesses. The Force Unleashed 2, I've watched cutscenes and managed to get just to the storyline of them. I'll put it this way, there's gonna be a VTT on it sometime down the road, and, well, reverse this for spoilers.
Yeah, I know exactly why.
That is all. That's all over yet because this question's a two-parter.
Also, in Bleach, what would you do if Aizen would suddenly become a good guy?
I would bang my head against the desk for a few minutes, try to convince myself it wasn't real, fail, and then probably itch and moan about it whilst continuing to read the series with reluctance. Sven!
I would quit reading. Because that would be the ultimate bullshit move since Kaizo Mario World. That would be the mother of all FUs to the readers who hated Aizen, wanted to see him get his comeuppance, finally saw him get his comeuppance, sent to the deepest pits of hell, and then you go around, reverse it on us, tell us he's a good guy, and, yeah, let's just say Great Rage would be involved, and then Kubo would lose another fan.
I think we found Sven's rage spot.
Yeah. Its name is Aizen. I found quite a few of the villains in Bleach quite likable, actually. The problem is they were all Aizen's pawns. He was the reason they all died. In fact, he directly killed one of them. And let's just say that even before that, Aizen was not one of the villains that I liked. He never has been. In fact, he did the impossible and made me like him less as time went on. So, basically, if Kubo does it, I'm putting him in the pile of Masashi Kishimoron and moving on.
Okay, and on that very clear note, we'll move on to the next question. So, Sven.
From Infern0121, have either of you played Fallout New Vegas yet, and what did you think of it? To answer that quickly, yes, I have played Fallout New Vegas. And, I like the game. In fact, I love the game. Because it brings back so many things from Fallout 2. It brings back a few cameos. In fact, it brings back one character in general. Makes a whole lot of references to the original game. And it does new things, too. I don't want to spoil them for anybody, mainly for plot reasons. But, among those things it brings back is Fallout 2's difficulty. Oh, God.
Have you been able to get around it so far? No.
Yeah, so far, I went into it thinking that it would be like Fallout 3. A bit of a challenge with random batshit powerful monsters out of nowhere somewhere, sometimes. But, I was wrong. They made it so that you only get perks every 2 levels, instead of every level. You don't get a perk at the start, in fact. You have to pick a trait at the beginning that increases one of your scores, one of your abilities, while greatly decreasing another. And furthermore, you get about a third of the skill points you got in Fallout 3.
Oh.
Couple that with the fact that ammo is about as common in that world as, I don't know, diamonds are in this one. And you have a recipe for Fallout 2 all over again. It didn't help that I brought out one of those bouts on myself whenever I went hunting for Death Claws at level 5. Basically the strongest monster in the game, I was level 5. I was hiding in a dump truck.
Oh, sounds really, really harsh.
The thing is, the harshness is part of the fun, for some reason, because I must be a masochist. But, oh, and furthermore, they included hard mode. They actually included a hard mode. There's something harder than this in this game. And the bad news is, because I'm such a masochist and like completion, I'm going to have to play that eventually.
Oh, I pray for your soul.
Yes, please do, because you're probably going to hear about it whenever I do, probably in the December issue of VGT. You're probably going to hear one very, very broken Crusader.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, it's an excellent game.
Yeah, I'll just get in my answer quickly. No, I haven't, but I pretty much figured Sven had already, so I just decided to sit back and let him talk about it, so...
Oh, yeah. Basically, my summary is this. It's a great game, and it's even better if you have a penchant for hurting yourself. That is all.
While Sven the Crusader's nursing his wounds there, we'll just go on to the final question from Earl Hickey Boxing.
What do you guys think of the old Bioware RPGs Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and Planescape? Would you like to see a modern reboot of those series?
Well, I can confidently say, without a shadow of a doubt, that I haven't played any of those games. Yeah, I've been meaning to, because I've heard a lot of good things about BioWare's RPGs, and particularly Baldur's Gate. I've seen a lot of interesting things about it. In fact, there's this one book I bought about writing in video games that often uses it as a reference for a lot of the time. So, yeah, a lot of good things about those games, but I haven't played them. Sven?
Well, surprisingly enough, neither have I. I have heard of Baldur's Gate, heard a lot of good things about it, never heard of Icewind Dale, and I've been being bugged and bugged and bugged and bugged to play Planescape by about, 3 people. So, basically, if they remake either of the two I've heard of, I will probably pick them up. Baldur's Gate because I'm just interested in Planescape because I like the sound of it from all the stuff the 3 people who are bugging me have been telling me. And furthermore, you can't find Planescape these days unless you want to shank over about $200. So, I can't be asked to download it. So, if they remake that, I'm definitely going to pick it up, if only to quiet the people who are bugging me. Plus, I want to play it.
Yeah, I think actually Sven's got the best answer for that. Basically, in terms of the question, would we like to see a modern reboot of those series? Yes, I'd say we would. It would be a lot easier for people like me who only have a passing knowledge of it to get into the series rather than kind of hunt down old copies of it. In short, we haven't played them, but we're curious and we'll probably buy a rebooted version if it comes out.
Yeah, I would certainly buy a rebooted version of Baldur's Gate or Planescape, not only because I want to play it and people are bugging me, but it's Bioware. I love Bioware. They made Mass Effect. Mass Effect for the win. I'm a Bioware fan.
Really? I would have never guessed. Anyway. And yeah, that's the end of this month's Q&A session. Please keep the questions coming in. It was interesting to answer them. If you want us to answer your own questions, please either leave them in the comment section or feel free to send me a PM over YouTube. And with that all said and done, we can now move on to what used to be the first segment, Video Games. As the title implies, this is where we review all the video games we've been playing over the past month, although this section might be a lot easier to do since we've already covered 2 of the games we've been playing this past month, but either way, I'm handing it over to Sven.
Yeah, I have pretty much summed up exactly what I've been playing. I have interspersed it with some new Super Mario Brothers and some Pokemon Soul Silver. But mainly, my entire last 2 months can be described as Fallout New Vegas.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, this past month, yeah, about 2 weeks or so have basically been Sonic Colors, but there is one game I can review to make it more interesting. As some of you may be aware, last month I posted a video of my top 15 Donkey Kong tracks. Now, whilst making that video, posting and then looking at the comments, I started noticing that a lot of my comments towards a certain DK game seem to have a sense of bitterness towards them, and I wondered, did that game really deserve the bitterness? Because it had been a long time since I replayed it. So, I got out my N64, dusted it off, and then stuck in Donkey Kong 64, and decided to play that again until completion. Not total completion, I didn't want to be here all year, no. I only just collected everything I need to beat Karul. And I have to say, some of the harshness I originally gave that game probably wasn't deserved. I'll just quickly go over the good. The game has a lot of character. I will always say that. It's honestly, the DK rap thing was a bit goofy, although a lot of the rare quotes were, "Yes, for the last time, that rap was meant to be a joke." Yeah. The character animation is really good, and all the characters have their own distinct personalities except for one, but I'll get to my thoughts on that one later. There's a lot of personality in the characters and the bosses, and whilst I'm not usually a massive fan of the Super Mario 64 template, I tend to prefer platform games based around, well, the challenge and sort of lethal precision, but carefully judging where you jump, how you hit the challenging enemy, etc. I have to say, it was fun in the 64, sort of just going into a new world for the first time and just sort of exploring it, trying to find all the individual secrets or all the individual areas. Ooh, what does this switch do? Oh, it opens that. So you do get a certain sense of fun from just, you know, going around and exploring the world and seeing everything for the first time. Although the key statement in that phrase is "for the first time." I know I said I'd focus on the pros first, but I want to get this one con out of the way. The biggest problem with Donkey Kong 64, and the real reason why it kind of becomes slightly tedious after a while, is that the worlds are way too big for their own good, because it's fun to explore them the first time, but it's not going to be the first time you explore them, because the way the system works is that you've got all 5 characters, and there is always gonna be an element that only one character can get. So as you're exploring around the world, you're constantly remembering, why, I have to go back to that area because there are red bananas only Diddy can pick up, and then over there's a saxophone switch that only Tiny can hit, and oh look, there's a boulder, only Chunky can lift that up. And so basically you're constantly going around backtracking to a certain point, getting the right character to the right point, or getting the right power-up you need to get into the right area, and it just becomes incredibly tedious. It's fine for like the first few worlds where the sizes come manageable, like Angry Aztec and what was it called? No, Jungle Japes, that was it. Where the worlds are a manageable length. The later stages are not only way too big, but they're incredibly dull to look at. And the one world I really ended up hating, almost from the very start, was Crystal Caves. Because not only was it possibly one of the largest stages in the whole game, it is the blandest world design I have ever seen. It is grey rock everywhere you go. The only exception is a tiny amount of snow and a couple of wooden shacks. That's it. It is just grey. Everywhere you go, you are walking through an endless amount of grey, trying to remember all the different grey landmarks that have different switches for different characters, and it gets really old and really tedious really fast.
Yeah, I can imagine why, too, because who would want to backtrack through all that whenever you're basically walking through the world setting of Gears of War? Oh yes, I went there.
Yeah.